Hey everybody, welcome back. I'm Sam of Samwise Coaching and Hypnosis, coming back for the third and last video in this three-part natural weight loss and food freedom series, focusing now on the last but equally important part of this program, how to stop eating when you're no longer hungry. Essentially, how to ensure you don't overeat when you are eating. There are four guides or guidelines to help you do this. The first one is have healthy food available at all times. Let me clarify this one. Let's start with what do I mean by healthy food? A little bit of this depends on your unique body, but in general, healthy food is generally what your grandmother would recognize as food. That's how I like to compare this best. Like if you left it out on the counter, it would go bad. Typically, packaged foods, they're not generally what I would consider healthy because they're processed, they frequently come with preservatives, but there are plenty of companies out there that are trying to identify an important need in making convenient, healthy packaged foods. So if you truly do need to buy packaged foods, my advice is just check the label first. If you know what the ingredients are, you can in general say that's pretty healthy. Otherwise, when you go to the grocery store, one of the general rules of thumb here is to avoid the center aisles. This is where you're going to find the sugary cereals, the chips, the breads, the snack bars, ice cream, chocolate, etc. But here too, this is just a generality because the center aisles are also where you're going to find whole grains, legumes. To be clear, whole foods are foods that have not been ground up or processed into something outside of its original form. Rice and oatmeal change forms a little bit when you cook them. They get bigger and they get a little softer, but I'm not going to be too picky here. If it looks like it's in its original form, in general, I would call that whole food. Now, if you've ever done any version of Atkins or keto or anything of the like, the low carb diets, they're going to tell you to avoid grains like the plague, amongst several other foods. To that, I say, to each their own. You know your body best. Some people can eat whole grains and they feel great. Others, it makes them sick. It makes them bloated. I'm going to steal a line from Joshua Rosenthal. He's the CEO, president of the Institute for Integrative Nutrition out of New York. That's where I got my health coaching certification. And he said it best. One person's food is another person's poison. Essentially, that is to say, there are several factors that go into whether someone sinks or swims with dairy, grain, etc. Our genes, our heritage, our sex. So much more goes into why some people can handle some foods and why others can't. So for the sake of this topic, I'll simply say that if you know that your body processes grains or dairy really well, go for it. Or you can try taking them out and seeing how you feel, seeing what kind of difference that makes in your body. But the main focus of this guideline is just advising you in general to eat more whole foods, less processed foods. In general, you're going to find that in the perimeter of the grocery store as compared to the center aisles, but that's not always the case. The reason why I'm advocating for whole foods is because, a little bit of the health coaching tutor in me, but in general, most processed foods have preservatives. And preservatives over time, they can completely muck up your microbiome. That's that whole area in your gut where there's good, healthy bacteria. And again, this is a big conversation for a health coaching program, not weight loss and emotional eating per se. But for a quick overview, and I do think it's important to touch on, when all the healthy bacteria in your gut are affected, that's when people get candida, SIBO, IBS, leaky gut syndrome, and weight gain. It's really hard to lose weight if your gut, if the unhealthy bacteria there is mucking up your body's ability to utilize and digest effectively. But when you eat more whole foods without those preservatives, generally you have a healthier gut. Generally, your body works efficiently to digest your food, which makes you feel fuller, longer. So you eat less and you lose weight easier. You don't get tricked into thinking you're hungry all the time because your hormones are messed up because of all that stuff going on down there. And that's all usually very correlated to preservatives. What else do I mean by healthy food? You knew this one was coming. Cut out the sugar. No, no, I am not a keto advocate. I am not Atkins. Hear me out, hear me out. This isn't me secretly trying to lure you into that way of eating. I'm not a keto girl. I myself, I do eat sugar, but only because I'm in control of my eating. Because of this program, I feel comfortable and in control around sugar. I don't have it every day. I have it on special occasion. Um, and when I do, I'm able to stop when I've had enough. Um, Given that you're here, more than likely you don't feel this way yet, but you will. So for some of you, giving up sugar, Sam, that's easy. It's the savory things that are the real struggle. And that's another reason we want to avoid the center aisle of grocery stores, because that's where all the products go, where literally food scientists have worked diligently to find that bliss point of both the sweet and the savory foods. So, like, it's impossible to stop at one bite. They've been working really hard to make sure you don't do that. But for now, I really want to focus on sugar because this is where most people really struggle when it comes to feeling in control around food and why they have trouble with weight loss. It's easier to replace salty, savory cravings with healthy food when you're actually hungry, but sugar, that's an entirely different beast. And here's why. The reality is that sugar has been proven to behave like a drug in the body. It's even more addictive than cocaine. Like literally, it is a drug, which is one of the reasons we feel so out of control when we're eating it, why we can't stop, and why it feels like we're going on a detox when we do. Literally, you go on a sugar detox like a drug detox. You see, we're born with a taste for sweet. Mother's milk is literally sugar. By nature, we are drawn to this so that the baby's going to be like, "Oh, I want this. Yeah, tastes good." Um, And food manufacturers know this. They are paid a lot of money to produce food products that they reach very high on the flavor and bliss point marker to sell more product. So the hard truth is that when you think you're hungry and you want sugar, it's never about hunger. It's your brain trying to tell you it just wants to feel better. That's why we have the broccoli test, is to help us differentiate hunger from a craving. Plain broccoli does not have the same appeal as something sweet or even savory, does it? So now you know you're not hungry after all. Now, I know for many of you, this one might be tough. You might be cringing at the thought of no sugar. But you can relax. I'm not telling you to give up sugar forever. I'm just asking you to eliminate it while you're trying to get a handle on your eating. And especially if you're trying to lose weight. And I'm specifically talking about forms of added sugar. Let's differentiate that too. Not natural sugar, like what comes from milk or a piece of fruit. Nobody binges on whole fruit. Show me somebody, I'll be amazed. You can have too much fruit, which can affect your insulin levels. Like if you just drink grape juice or orange juice, that can really spike insulin levels. But whole fruit, that's different. And people who really need to watch out here are diabetics. They really need to watch out for their fruit intake. But for our purposes, with feeling in control around food again, we're focusing on cutting out added sugar. This is where we really run into trouble with obvious things, ice cream, and the not so obvious things that are hidden in ingredients, like some of our favorite packaged foods. To give you perspective, Let me share this tidbit with you. The USDA recommends no more than 24 grams of added sugar per day for women, which 24 grams is 6 teaspoons of sugar. And for men, it's 36 grams. That's 9 teaspoons. Are you aware of how much sugar is actually in some of your favorite packaged items? For example, yogurt. One serving of strawberry Yoplait yogurt has 18 grams of sugar. That's almost the same as a Twinkie. A Twinkie has 19 grams, if anybody eats Twinkies anymore, but still, we used to. They were very addictive. So for men, that's half of your added sugar intake in one small snack. Women, that's over half. Ouch. Yet most of us think that yogurt is healthy. It has more calcium than a Twinkie and a few less artificial ingredients, but the sugar intake, it's the same. So I could go on and on because sugar is a really large topic, but for our purposes here, while you're trying to lose weight and stop overeating, cut out the sugar, the added sugar. This includes alcohol or drinks where you're adding in a form of sugar you like to drink, like honey. Even though honey and maple syrup, all that stuff, they have tons of micronutrients and they're super healthy in that respect. But that dopamine hit to the brain is only going to make you want more. And it's too slippery of a slope when you're trying to lose weight and feel in control again. It's just too addictive. If you really need something sweet for your beverage, and I do this all the time, try a natural, no-calorie sugar alternative like stevia or monk fruit, not aspartame or any of that stuff. Stevia and monk fruit are currently deemed safe by the USDA. NutraSweet and Equal and all those guys, not so much. Fake sugar, they can not only, some people think aspartame is related to cancer, yada, 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 but these can also, many believe that they add to weight gain by interfering, again, with our gut biology. So for your ease of reference, I've actually included a list of healthy sugar alternatives in the resources for these videos, just to be clear. But for all intents and purposes, stevia, monk fruit, great, go for it. Avoid other fake sugars and added sugar. So let's go back to, the guideline number 1, eat healthy food, have healthy food available at all times. Take some time now to brainstorm what having healthy food available at all times looks like for you. What are some easy things for you to always have on hand? Like they're really easy to pack, like they could go in your purse or in your desk, things like that. Some common suggestions from my clients are 1 serving of raw almonds. That's about a 1/4 cup. It's 1 serving of almonds. Pre-portioned, put into little Tupperware things, easy to put in a bag anywhere you go. Pre-cut vegetables, pre-cut fruit, hard-boiled eggs, peeled eggs, things like that. Peeled, you know what I mean, hard-boiled and peeled. There we go. 1 serving of peanut butter and celery. Plain Greek yogurt with fruit. Portioned out oatmeal with stevia and cinnamon. Pick 1 or 2 things like that. That should be good enough to get you started. But if you're still struggling, just do a quick little Google search for quick and easy, portable, healthy snacks. The creativity of people always fascinates me. You can find great things on Pinterest. But just take that time to self-assess your environment. Ask yourself now, does anything need to change in your pantry or at work for you to do this? Do you need a pantry makeover? Do you need to clean out any drawers at your office? Do your best to eliminate processed and sugary foods. And if you can't get rid of it completely, like maybe you have kids who are really picky eaters and that's just not a battle you want to fight right now, plan on still having healthy alternatives available for you, available at all times. Keep a small bag of healthy food, as I said, in your purse, in your car, at work, at home. This way, you never have an excuse for not being around healthy food when you're hungry. And therefore, you're not going to go to the convenience store or the fast food place and buy something unhealthy in a snitch. Okay, take a big breath. That was a big one. Let's go on to the next slide. Guideline number 2, when you're hungry, eat within 30 minutes. Why? Because if you wait longer than that, you get too hungry, and more than likely you're going to overeat. It's kind of like when you wait too long to go to the bathroom. The longer you wait, it gets more uncomfortable, more mind consuming. You get desperate to find a restroom. Similarly, if you wait too long to give the brain the relief that it wants, it will be insistent to the point of making you go crazy. And then you give in and you overeat. Also, waiting too long generates fear of deprivation in the body. It creates distrust. I know many of you feel like you can't trust your body. If you're always repressing, uh, then your stomach learns to bury the feeling because it just keeps hearing the word no. When you hear the word no all the time, you learn not to ask in the first place. And your stomach is the same way. It adapts and it loses touch with its natural hunger cues. It's like, oh, she's not going to listen anyways, right? So when you're weak, that's kind of when you ignore it long enough, the stomach stops asking, and eventually you get weak, tired, cranky, and you don't even necessarily know why. It's just not a good situation. So our goal here is to create an open line of communication between your stomach and your mind, to build trust, and to know that each part, the brain and the stomach, are being cared for by giving each other what they need. Food when the stomach is hungry, healthy pleasure when the brain just wants to feel happy. Okay, tactic. Guideline number 3. Take half the amount of food you would normally eat, knowing that you can go back for more. This appeases the brain because we're not telling it how much to eat in total. You understand that if you're hungry, yeah, you can go back and have more. You can go back and have seconds. But because our visual response to food is so powerful, most people clean their plates simply because it's what in front of them, not because of how much their body is telling them they want to eat. The key here is I literally want you to have to literally go back for more. Don't have your food within easy reach or within your line of sight because of what I just said. People's visual responses to food is too powerful, and people tend to eat simply because it's there instead of being actually hungry. Now, for those here who are not specifically trying to lose weight, you may decide, you may or may not decide to do this one. These are guidelines after all. They're not fast and furious rules, but I encourage you, give it a try. Because most of us still are struggling with what it actually means to be full. Most of us associate being full with being Thanksgiving full, and that's closer to being stuffed. So play with this. You may find that you're still overeating at mealtime, not just when you're eating emotionally or mindlessly. Or maybe you prove that you're on point, and then more power to you. But I encourage you to play with it. For those of you who are trying to lose weight, this piece, it's essential. Don't look it over. You will learn what your body needs. And most of you are going to find that your body actually needs less than what you originally thought. All right. Guideline number 4. Stop eating when you're no longer hungry. How do you do that? You've taken half, and then before you go back to get more food, ask yourself, am I hungry enough that I'd eat broccoli? If the answer is yes, go back for more. And that's it. Truly. So let's bring it all together. At present, you now have a yes or no binary tool to help you know if you're actually hungry, and that's the broccoli test. You have or are working on 1 to 2 new default behaviors to meet the need of the emotion that was previously urging you to eat, a new habit to replace the old unwanted habit. And now, you know how to stay on track and eat right for your body's needs by following the following 4 guidelines. 1, have healthy food available at all times. 2, eat within 30 minutes of becoming aware that you're hungry. 3, take half of what you normally would, knowing you can go back for more if you're hungry. And 4, stop eating when you're no longer hungry by using the broccoli test. That's it. By following this plan, your body will relearn to eat healthy meals in healthy portions, you'll lose weight easily, naturally, permanently, and you'll feel in control around food again. And I couldn't be more excited for you. To help you remember all this, I've created some support materials which you can download on my website. These include a customizable broccoli test sheet, a little one sheet, so you can pick the food that you would eat only if you were actually hungry, and then list options for your new default behaviors when you're not hungry, when the answers are no. There's the 4 guidelines that we just went over for how to stay on track when you are hungry, and I have a document about healthy sugar options. As I mentioned earlier, for some of you, this is going to be a game changer. The broccoli test alone has stopped me from habitually eating so many times. It gives me that pause so I can think instead of just going back for more food or going for food in the first place. And having created new default behaviors in advance makes it even easier to follow through on because I don't have to think when I'm in the moment, when my brain doesn't have the energy to be creative. And the 4 guidelines have helped me truly redevelop self-trust so that I don't need a meal plan. I don't need a meal plan to tell me how much to eat or when to eat. I don't look to an outside resource to tell me what my body needs. This program changed my relationship with food. And ultimately, it changed my relationship with myself and how I listen to what my emotions are trying to tell me. But as I mentioned earlier, sometimes we could all use that extra little help. Some of my clients have been burying their emotions for so long, they're not even aware of what they're feeling. And a coach can really help you become aware and decide on an action plan. And for others, sometimes the emotions that we're feeling, they're really intense, or there's more than one, and it just feels overwhelming or scary. And they need someone to help them work through them, to systematically work through the layers and resolve them one by one. And if that's the case, if you know you want to go deeper, if you know you want more support, then I have 3 ways that we can link arms. First, we can work together one-on-one using the tool of insight-based hypnosis. Now, let me be clear and just upfront demystify that for you, because I know some people are still like, right? We think of Hollywood or brainwashing. This is not brainwash. It's not magic. If it were, hypnotists would rule the world, right? Nobody would be overweight. Like, let's be real. We would have all found it. There is work involved. But the difference here, insight-based hypnosis is it's the thing that helps people change on a subconscious level. Check out my reviews for how it's changed the lives of my clients. I find that it's probably the fastest, most effective way to seek out and neutralize the limiting beliefs and the heavy, chronic emotions that have stood in between you and your goals in the past. With insight-based hypnosis, we specifically go after the root cause behind those limiting beliefs and uncomfortable emotions, and we work to resolve them. And the amazing thing is that when you neutralize the root cause behind your eating, typically other areas of your life get better too. Relationships improve, work improves, you become a better parent, friend, etc., etc. You have a whole different relationship with yourself. If you're interested in that, I invite you to schedule a one-on-one consultation with me where we can review your unique situation and see if insight-based hypnosis is right for you. Second, on select occasions, I also work with clients in a more long-term health coaching capacity, where the goal is really to empower you to discover and maintain the right lifestyle choices that are going to help you live your healthiest, longest life. The world of health and wellness is complicated. There's a lot of stuff out there, and sometimes just having that coach to help you charter and navigate your own path is really helpful. Third, if you're not ready for one-on-one yet, or you're the kind of person who really thrives in a community, I want you to know that I'm actually working on building a group program where you can have all of your questions answered and learn from the experiences of others while receiving the group support and the camaraderie that is so helpful when you're making these changes. So if any of these are aligned to you, or if you feel called to explore this more, I invite you to schedule a free consultation with me where we can review your unique situation together and what might be the best fit. Scheduling is easy. You just go to my website, www.samwisehypnosis.com/schedule. Fill out the quick questionnaire. Why are you coming to see me? What have you done? How did you hear about me? Just mention this video. That'll help me kind of orientate here, and we'll have a discussion. Again, I want to thank you for watching. If you like this program, please, please, please share it with your friends. The more that see this, the better. I truly believe that this program can help absolutely everyone. But if anybody wants more help, there are ways to do that. If you want more, I look forward to connecting with you during the consultation. Thank you again. Bye for now.